Okay, so today we are going to do a color wheel, and we'll explore those primary and secondary colors and also the tertiary. So we'll start with red, yellow, and blue. We've got over here blue here, and then red and blue, and then we'll mix some secondary colors from those. So as I said the other day, you can start your color wheel by using a template like this and then just attaching some carbon paper on the back. And just make sure that you have your gray side down, and then it will transfer the image over to that. And just be sure you label each section with that color, just so you remember. If you don't have carbon paper, you can use a plastic dinner plate, and you can just trace the outline with a pen, just like so. And then you can just create some sections for each color. And then just be sure to label it. If you wanted to get real specific, you could use a ruler so each section is the same size. So this is about 2 inches long, maybe about a ½ inch in length. But I've got one here already to try to speed up the process a little. So I'm going to show you what I have so far. So I'm using a oyster color sheet for my color wheel, and I'm going to start with red, which is again a primary color. When the wheel is done, it will look something like this. So one thing to remember is make sure your pastels are clean. You can see this is a little bit dirty, so I'm going to clean it up with some paper towel. And that just keeps you from getting any unnecessary color that would dilute your pure color. So I'm going to find red. And I'm going to use firm pressure and try to fill in that entire square. Something like that. So I'm going to move on to yellow, which is another primary. And again, that cannot be mixed. You just have to buy it. But you can mix secondary colors from 2 primary colors. So we'll go over to here, yellow. Then I'm going to go over to blue. And one thing to remember is I'm starting out with a warm red and a cool yellow, so that will affect the colors that you get when you go to mix the primaries. So let's go over to the blue, which is the 3rd primary color. Just try to fill in those crevices as best you can. If you want it to look real pretty and smooth, you can use your paper towel and distribute your color that way. You might want to even give it a second pass with a little more pressure. really fill that color in. And I'm also cleaning off my hands with a paper towel as well. So let's move on to the secondary color that I mentioned. So if you mix orange and yellow, you can get a secondary color which is called orange. I'm going to lay down some yellow first, and then add a little bit of red on top. Very lightly. And then I'll use this to blend it. Paper towel. But you could use your fingers. And it can be real helpful if you have one of these. Then you can judge your color mixture and see if you've got the color that you want. So I think maybe a little bit more yellow. That's a little bit closer to what I want. So I will move on to green, which is another secondary color with yellow and blue. So I'm going to start with some yellow, and I'm also going to make sure my stick is clean. I got a little bit of orange on there I didn't want. Then I'm going to add some blue. Okay. So just light little scumble of blue, and then blend. Then again, you can go and you can compare. And if it's not exactly the same as your color wheel, that's fine. You know, color's relative, and it really does depend on what color pastel sticks you use. So just try to get as close as you can, you know, to that color. Maybe a little more blue. So it might be a little trial and error. So let's take a look now and see how this color compares to the green in our color wheel. So I think that's a little bit closer. Something else you can do, if things get dirty, you can erase with your kneaded eraser any unwanted marks. Try to clean it up. So let's move on to violet or purple, which is another secondary color here on your color wheel. So to do that, we're going to mix the red and the blue. Starting with some red, and this is a warm red, which means it probably has some orange in that mixture. So then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of blue, just lightly. And give it a blend. And I'll compare it to what I've got. So I think it needs a little more blue.